Hello and welcome to the Mal&Johnny Show. Today's very special guest is the director Gus Masterson. Guy currently has a show running in London called The Shark is Broken. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the film Jaws. The shark is broken, well, the mechanical shark in the film regularly broke down, leading to the film overrunning. Now, I've spoken to Guy many times in the past about his one-man shows like Under Milk Wood or Christmas Carol, and also about his relationship with his uncle, the actor Richard Burton. We caught up with Guy in the green room as he was watching an interview on Sky all about his production, The Shark is Broken.
Grab your tickets, it is selling well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you.
So welcome to the Guy.
Wow.
Welcome to the Mal&Johnny Show, Guy. We've interrupted you watching an interview on Sky TV because that's where this show has now become. So can I introduce you to Johnny? This is Johnny Tudor, by the way. This is Guy.
Hello, John. How are you?
How are you? Nice to meet you.
So the show is suddenly taking off in lots of directions. Today is Media Day. You've got CBS coming from America. It's called The Shark is Broken. Tell us what the play's about to start us off with.
Well, basically, it's the filming of Jaws, which was supposed to be an 8-week shoot, and it landed. It was about 16 weeks in total, and a large portion of that was spent on the Orca because Stephen, in his infinite wisdom, decided to film on the sea because it was going to make it very realistic, and of course it did. But that poses a bunch of problems with the weather and ships in shot and all kinds of stuff. And the three main actors used the Orca as the green room. And of course, if you have any sort of a personality clash with anybody in such a confined space, and it was a confined space, they're going to find their way out, especially if one is volatile and has, let's just say, a predilection towards alcohol. So it's, let's say things boiled over, and it makes for incredible comedy, but it's all true. And it's all, based on the diaries that Ian has of his father, that his father wrote of the period of time, and also the interviews that all three of the stars gave afterwards, alluding to some of the issues that they had. So it's very funny, but it's also incredibly poignant and deep and gets to the heart of certain core matters, which, as you know, we've discussed in the past about Richard. My uncle Richard, and his issues, fame, alcoholism, the desire to be a writer, all those kind of things are discussed in the play against this backdrop of something which is incredibly commercial, Jaws, which pretty much everybody knows.
Now you're directing. When did you come across the script? How did you find the script? Because it's not the first time it's been put on. You did it originally in Edinburgh. Where did you find the script? Yeah.
Well, Ian and I have been friends for 27 years. He was dating a dear friend of mine when we first met, and of course we had long conversations about Richard and Robert. And over the years we discussed various things. He knew about the play I directed about Uncle Richard playing Burton, and we talked at length about how how such a thing could be handled. And I was pushing him towards doing something about it, but he was always very resistant, and rightly so. Anyway, 3 years ago now, he called me and said, "I've come up with an idea, and I think I'm ready. What do you think of this?" And he just sort of pitched it over the phone to me, and I went, "Oh my God, that is incredible." Yeah. So when will you have something for me to read? But 2 months later, he and Joseph Nixon, his writing partner, sent me the script. And I went, this is going to work, and we'll put it on at the Edinburgh Festival, and we'll see what magic happens. And the magic did happen, and literally sold out before we opened. And then it got picked up by the world's biggest producer, Sonny Friedman. So we are ecstatic. Yeah. And she's literally put all her might behind it. She's given me as director all the resources. She wants to make what was a very small nugget into something quite spectacular, but retain the heart of the essence of the piece that Ian wrote. Because for him, it was far more than just the sum of the parts. It was not just a homage to his father, but it was a homage to Jaws and an exploration of a son's relationship with his father, because Robert had a relationship with his father, which is explored, which kind of echoes Ian's relationship with his own father, and of course the deeper issues of addiction and stardom and all of that.
Yeah,
and of course it's very popular because everybody knows Jaws and loves it.
and
you know, is it going to become a film? This version?
Well, who knows? I mean, there is rumor that Mr. Spielberg is rather interested.
Wow.
We will see. I mean, obviously, Stephen gave us the blessing to do the film, and so did Richard Dreyfus. They read the script, loved it, approved it, and here we go.
Fabulous.
You know, obviously, you know, Johnny is a massive fan of your Uncle Richard, and grew up in the same sort of part of the world in Port Talbot and all that.
Port Talbot,
you know,
yeah.
I suppose having Richard in the background for you, Johnny, was, you know, something to aim for, something to aspire to.
Well, I used to love. I've got the version of him reading Milkwood, right, the original version. And when I used to be away working, you know, I've been all over the world doing gigs and so on. I'd always have it on my CD player. And it's just that, apart from his wonderful voice, the way he actually delivered it. And I've just been a big fan. And then when I was only about, I suppose, 19, he came to Port Talbot with Elizabeth Taylor. And of course, the place was erupting, you know. He wanted to find somewhere to be buried. And he's up on top of Pontefract the Bend. We're going to be buried over there, Elizabeth. Yes, I'll be back. But it never came to fruition. But I've just been a big fan all my life. I just think he was fantastic.
Yeah, you know, you take it from a small, because obviously Edinburgh, you've limited resources, limited time to put a production on. So when you've got the biggest producer in the world saying, "What do you want?" Not scary, but is it? You know, there's a paradox of choice. You can have too much options, can't you? Was it hard not to lose the nugget that was there? That was the 5-star review.
Well, that was something we had to struggle with because, you know, when we go from a fringe environment to a very, very commercial West End environment, possibly with a future on the Great White Way, isn't that a great parallel with? You know, you've got to be thinking, well, what do mainstream audiences want? They're not going to want a little fringe nugget with you know, a bench in a black box set, and no matter how strong the players, they want to feast their eyes. So we had to figure out a way to do this, and this was a writing thing, a structural thing, and a directorial thing. What could we do to enhance this story, to make it much bigger and visual? And We've found a balance. It's been you know, a very interesting process for me, and I'm literally working with geniuses, and the soundscape is incredible. It's almost movie-like. The videoscape is extraordinary. You really feel you're there on the boat with them, with all this expanse of sea around you, and of course the lighting designer had to make it work, which is, I mean, he's brilliant. So. On top of the expertise that we have in the play itself and the 3 brilliant actors that we have, who not only being brilliant, they look like the original stars. Of course, Ian does look like his father, which is terribly frightening. It's almost a coup de théâtre in its own right when he finally he jumps down onto the stage and everyone goes, It's Robert Shaw. You know, that's a wonderful moment. But our Roy Scheider, Dimitri, is extraordinary, and Liam is brilliant as Dreyfus. So it really is it's a feast for Jaws fans, and it works for theatre lovers.
Interesting. It's still only the 3 characters. You haven't augmented the cast. It's just still the 3 characters. Yeah.
3 characters. We have voices of Steven Spielberg and various other ones, you know, in the background off stage that you can hear, but it's just you only see the 3 characters.
Interesting, because James Gandolfini's son is playing him in the sort of the prequel to The Sopranos. So you know there may be something is in the air at the moment. You know, for you, you know, you've worked so hard. I mean, we've spoken so many times about, you know, you do One Man Under Milkwood, you tour around the world on your own. To suddenly see the world opening up. I mean, I know you've had successes, don't get me wrong, but this is like the start of a new life, isn't it?
Hey, listen, I never count my chickens, as Ian says in the play. Don't count your chickens; you might end up on the cutting room floor. But it's
I've been there.
yeah, exactly. And I have had 5 shows in the West End, and you always think, is this the start? So I'm 60 years old now, and I don't mind if it isn't. It's an adventure. I'll climb the ladder. I'll enjoy it. I don't want to sound sort of downbeat or anything like that, but I'm a white male 60-year-old.
I get it.
Artist.
I get it.
We all get it. We all get it.
It's never too late. As John said, look, when he was 95, I think I'll change my age. That's what you're going to do.
Well, a dear friend of mine, you've probably seen the movie, Davy Johns, got the lead role in I, Daniel Blake at the age of 60.
Yeah.
And he was about to buy a donkey and run donkey rides on Skegness Beach, for God's sake. Wow. And ended up getting the lead role.
Well, if
it was first summer season in Skegness, it was so bracing, it was bloody freezing. I don't know.
I mean, it's funny, because this is I wasn't expecting this, but, my latest album is called Butterfly. And the idea is that, we're so concerned with youth and getting older and stopping things. But, butterflies go through a long period of their time before they get their wings. And you sort of have to get to the point where you have to struggle to break out of the cocoon. I want to be a butterfly. And I think it's a perfectly good ambition for us all to want to be butterflies at our great ages, all 3 of us.
Well, I mean, Mal, you've always been creative. I mean, I met you when you were interviewing me years and years ago, maybe 23 years ago, and I didn't know for years that that you were an established musician and that you were a writer of big theatre pieces. So that's your modesty talking there, obviously, but you're as creative as anybody, and you've got to keep all those options open, and you've got to keep doing it because that's who we are, Yeah. So I'm going to keep writing, and if it still takes me producing work or finding work to do, I will do it. If the phone rings and someone wants to hire me, I am available.
Of course, we're always available. We're always available. Johnny, so growing up in Port Talbot, there were a couple of things I thought, because you knew. Now then, I'm just trying to work out the relationship. So you knew Graham, didn't you? Graham Jenkins.
Graham Jenkins, yes, very well, because. He was like the man about town. In fact, we used to call Richard Burton Graham Jenkins' brother. There was a bloke in Port Talbot called Uncle Bryn, he was known as, Bryn Thomas, and he had a club called the Carlton Club. He was the Mr. Fix-It in the town, he had fingers in all the different pies. And he knew Graham very well. And we used to all go to this club. And Graham came over once. He'd just been over to New York and watched Camelot before anybody'd seen it. And he was singing the songs down in the club. And he got my old man a job. My father was retired from music, and he got him a job in Andrew Scott's, which was an engineering company or something. He was a nice bloke, Graham.
Because
Uncle Graham used to say that he was Uncle Richard's professional double,
he used to
get away with it because people used to make you'd see him at a bar and they'd just assume it was him.
Oh, he was a spit. Yeah, it was a spit of him. Same eyes, everything. Yeah.
And Graham had a fantastic voice. I mean, of the two of them, he had the better voice. In fact, there's a famous story when Uncle Graham was doing the Eisteddfods, and I think it was my grandfather who said to Uncle Richie, why don't you have a go? And Uncle Richard said, no, this is Graham's thing. He says, go on and roll. And Uncle Rich went up against him in the same competition, and he won. And Graham never forgave him.
What about Sian Owen? Is she also a relation of yours, Sian Owen?
Yeah, well, sure, of course she is. She's my cousin. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I know Sian as well. Yeah. Because she had that wonderful on-stage video of Richard when he was playing Hamlet, and she showed it at St. David's Hall. And I was knocked out. It was done in everyday clothes. It was great.
Yes, yeah. No, that was a famous Hamlet. John Gielgud directed that.
That's right, yeah.
But I know I saw Sian, a couple of weeks ago, and when we went to see the Burton exhibition at the Museum of Wales, which is fantastic.
Is it still on? Because I want to see that myself.
I think it is. I think it's on until late October. It is very, very good, and I urge everybody to see it. There's a bunch of stuff that the family have donated, stuff which had never been seen before, and which is lovely. And it really captures the sort of rags. I wouldn't like to describe the childhood as rags, but the rags to riches story.
It was a hard life.
Yeah, my grandmother used to tell me stories of walking Richie up to Pontrydyfen from Taibach. And, holding Richie by the hand, and my mother was in a whatever it was that she held him in, and a bag of washing, because she used to do the washing for the family up in the house,
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
No.
So just looking at the future. So the show's open, but when I spoke to you yesterday, you're still in tech. You say it's still changing, it's still moving, and still.
But we're technically in preview, so
Okay.
we locked the show on Friday, which means I'm not allowed to make any other changes unless there's an absolute disaster.
Yeah. What do you keep an eye on it over the next 14 weeks, or do you?
I
move
do,
on to-
yeah. I have an associate director who's responsible for giving daily notes to the actors, make sure, if they're trying things and it doesn't work, she'll let them know. And she also works the understudies so that they can slot seamlessly in if anybody woebetide gets COVID or anything like that. And my job is to drop in from time to time, maybe once a week from now to the end of the run, and give the actors some encouragement and just enjoy it.
Yeah. But what are you going to do then? Going to be bored soon, aren't you?
I'm going to go. I've got a tour starting.
Right. What is it, and where is it?
Christmas
Come on.
I'm going all over everywhere with Christmas Carol. In fact, I'm playing Wyeside, Built Wells, and I'm playing Cardigan, I think, Muldan, with Christmas Carol, and
And again, it's one of
Christmas
those.
time.
Yeah, it's one of those big cast things. You turn up on your own. You do.
Yeah.
A one-man
Big cast.
band.
Yeah.
It's a big cast because I've just put on weight. No, it's all right. It's fun. It's what I've been doing for years, and I love doing it around Christmas time because I start to feel Christmassy when I start to recite those lines in November. Yeah. By the time Christmas comes, I'm desperate for the eggnog.
Well, thank you ever so much, because I know you're incredibly busy. Today is Media Day, so go and spread the word all around the world. And we just wish you all the very, very best. And be a butterfly, Guy. Now's the time to be a butterfly.
Thanks, Mal. Lovely to see you again, and Johnny, lovely to see you. You probably know half my family up in.
Probably do, yeah.
If you see any of them, give them my love.
Yeah,
I will.
It's
nice to meet you.
Yeah, so it's goodbye from me. And
it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from Guy. Nice to see you, Guy. Take care. God bless.
Okay, bye.
All of us, Pablo Coelho.
Oh, bless you.